Picture a name that still carries weight long after the echoes of gunfire faded. A name that changed how nations protect their borders, how wars are justified, and how fear itself entered everyday life. Before the blurred videotapes, before the worldwide manhunt, before a single night turned into a permanent memory for millions, Osama bin Laden was not yet a symbol of terror. He was not a headline, not a global enemy, not a figure etched into history books. He was a man shaped quietly and steadily by his surroundings, by ideology, and by forces set in motion long before the world learned to recognize his face. This is not a story built on legend or mystery. It is a story about how history, belief, power, and conflict slowly converged, creating consequences that would reach far beyond one individual and alter the course of the modern world. To understand how this happened, you have to return to a time when the world was divided by the Cold War, when global powers fought for influence not just with armies, but through proxy wars, money, and ideology. The Middle East and South Asia were not distant backdrops to these struggles. They were central battlegrounds. Governments rose and collapsed. Borders mattered less than loyalties. Ordinary people lived under the constant pressure of foreign intervention, economic imbalance, and rigid political control. In this environment, ideas carried enormous power. Ideas about identity, injustice, faith, and resistance spread quickly, especially among those searching for meaning in a world that felt dominated by forces beyond their control. Osama bin Laden did not appear out of nowhere. He emerged from this system. He was shaped by conflicts that rewarded extremism and by narratives that framed violence as defense, honor, and destiny. Understanding this context does not excuse the path he chose, but it explains how he was able to gain influence, followers, and resources. History did not create him in a single moment. It pushed him forward gradually, step by step, through exposure, belief, and experience. What makes this story especially unsettling is how ordinary its beginning was. There was no dramatic transformation, no instant turn toward violence. Instead, there was a slow evolution. Privilege met ideology. Belief met conflict. Personal conviction hardened over time. His life crossed paths with global politics in ways few lives ever do, and the consequences of those crossings are still felt today. This is not just a story of radicalization as a word, but as a process unfolding over years, reinforced by war, shaped by interpretation, and fueled by a growing sense of grievance. Osama bin Laden was born in 1957 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, into immense wealth and social status. His father, Mohammed bin Laden, built one of the most powerful construction empires in the region, trusted by the Saudi government with projects of enormous religious and political significance. Osama grew up surrounded by opportunity, education, and influence. He was not marginalized. He was not desperate. He had access to everything needed for a comfortable and respected life within the Saudi elite. Yet wealth did not shield him from ideology. In many ways, it enabled it, giving him the freedom, resources, and connections that would later define his role on the global stage. As a young man, he became deeply influenced by religious teachings that promoted strict interpretations of faith and portrayed the modern world as morally corrupt and hostile to Islam. These ideas were present in the broader society, but bin Laden absorbed them with intensity and purpose. During his university years, his worldview narrowed further, shaped by mentors who framed global politics as a battle between belief and betrayal, between sacred duty and foreign domination. When international events seemed to confirm these ideas, they took deeper root. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 became the defining moment. What the world saw as a Cold War conflict, bin Laden saw as a direct assault on Muslim land. He traveled to the region, first as a financier and organizer, using his wealth to support fighters resisting Soviet forces. At the time, these fighters received backing from multiple countries, including the United States, as part of a broader geopolitical strategy. In this environment, bin Laden gained practical experience, ideological confidence, and a sense of purpose. He learned how networks were built, how loyalty was earned, and how belief could unite men from different nations under a single cause. When the Soviet Union eventually withdrew, the war left a lasting mark on him. To bin Laden, this was not just a political outcome, it was proof. Proof that armed struggle, justified by belief, could defeat a global superpower. The lesson he took from Afghanistan would become the foundation of everything that followed. The war did not end his mission, it defined it. It convinced him that history could be shaped through violence, and that faith, when weaponized, could change the balance of power itself. This belief would carry him forward into a future that the world was not prepared for, setting the stage for events that would reshape global history in ways few could have imagined at the time.